Throughout their up-and-down 2018-19 season, the Washington Wizards have collected themselves a series of impressive wins, enough to make it an interesting debate as to which stands out above the rest. Technically, based solely on record, their January 11th victory over the Milwaukee Bucks should get the honors. The Bucks, at 37-13, boast the best record in the NBA. They are on pace to win 61 games and have won 8 of their last 9. All year, people have been waiting for the Bucks to fall back down to earth, but they haven't. They have shown every sign of being a juggernaut built for legitimate title contention. That January 11th win, though, wasn't like most the Bucks have played this season. They were missing their best player, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and needless to say, he makes a difference. The 24-year-old led the Eastern Conference in All-Star votes this season with averages of 26.4 points, 12.6 rebounds and 5.9 assists. He leads his team in all 3 categories while posting 1.5 steals and 1.4 blocks to complement. Even in today's NBA where versatility is at an all-time high, no one may check off more boxes than the Greek Freak. He is a do-it-all player, capable of dominating the game on both ends of the floor. The Wizards, though, have had some success against Antetokounmpo over the years. He is just 6-11 against Washington in his career, and that includes recent matchups, since he blossomed into one of the best players in the NBA. Washington will take another shot at Antetokounmpo and the Bucks on Saturday night, set for a 7 p.m. tip-off on NBC Sports Washington. The Wizards have won 3 of their last 5 meetings against Antetokounmpo. The last time they faced off, on February 27th of last year, the Wizards beat the Bucks and forced him to have 6 turnovers. He managed 23 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, 6 blocks and 3 steals, but made some key mistakes and took the loss. In the Wizards' victories over Antetokounmpo, they have generally clogged the lane and forced others on the Bucks to beat them. In the past, they often haven't been able to. But a major difference in the Bucks this season and the Bucks of old is that he has more help now than ever. Chris Middleton is an all-star with averages of 17.4 points and 5.8 rebounds per game. He's shooting 37.8% from 3 on 6.2 attempts. Eric Bledsoe and Malcolm Brogdon had arguments as all-star snubs. Bledsoe is putting up 15.8 points and 5.5 assists while Brogdon is averaging 15.7 points and 4.6 rebounds and shooting a ridiculous line of 51.3% from the field, 41.8% from 3 and 94.6% from the free throw line. Milwaukee has gone from a 44-win team last season to one that could push 60 by improving significantly in three-point shooting and rebounding. They ranked among the worst teams in the NBA in both areas in 2017-18, but this year placed 3rd in three-pointers made per game, 13.2, and 5th in total rebounds, 48.8. Though Antetokounmpo missed the first game between these teams this year, it remains one of the Wizards' best victories of the season. But if they can beat the Bucks with their MVP candidate on the floor, that would probably top them all. More Wizards news. One does not need a degree in basketball, mathematics or choreography to understand the Washington Wizards were a much better team in January. The 22-29 squad finished with their first winning month, 8-6, of the season. Here's a look at 3 statistical reasons why, and one angle worth tracking going forward. The Wizards take the plunge into February with Saturday's meeting against the Eastern Conference leading Milwaukee Bucks. Finally, there were times during this season an exasperated Scott Brooks would figuratively throw his hands up in the air over Washington's consistent clanking from deep. Whether contested or open, the players misfired from beyond the arc with regularity, until the calendar flipped to 2019. October, 32.3, 80 to 248. November, 31.9, 151 to 473. December, 33.9, 169 to 468. January, 39.0, 182 to 467. The jump was a collective effort. Of the 8 players to attempt at least 10 three-pointers during the month, 6 made at least 38% of their attempts. Only Trevor Ariza, 32% on 103 attempts, finished below 36%. Perhaps as interesting as to why this occurred, not very scientific, but going with "they were due" probably covers it, is where this happened. The Wizards sank shots from the right corner all season, 44.4, but misfired from the left and above the arc, which is where the overwhelming amount of attempts occurred. On the season, 1,262 of their 1,679 launched from that area. Only 33.6 found the mark. In January, Washington, 342 of 466 attempted three-pointers came from above the arc, and the Wizards made 38.3% of them, along with 50.8% from that trusty right corner. Overall, Washington ranked 4th in the NBA and made three-pointers and 6th in percentage on three-pointers during January. Defense: when an opponent has one of those splashy stretches where the shots are falling with annoying regularity, Brooks and the players surely receive nightmarish flashbacks to darker times. Washington ranks 24th in defensive rating, 111.2 points per 100 possessions, and 22nd in net rating, -2.4, on the season. Whether a collective New Year's resolution took hold or not, the Wizards finished 5th in January in defensive rating, 107.1, and 10th in net rating, 3.5. The simplest explanation is cohesion. Some basic luck exists. Opponents shot 73.6% on free attempts compared to 80 in November and December, but the Wizards appear more connected on both ends of the court during the uptick. We can let far astute people assess the percentage breakdown between chemistry, effort, and injuries relative to other months, but the group worked better together. Nobody would confuse Thomas Bryant with Alonzo Mourning defensively, but Washington's 21-year-old center races back with gusto and enthusiasm. Let's not suggest Tomas Satoransky is a better one-on-one defender than a motivated and healthy John Wall. Yet, Satoransky's presence with the starters means only Bradley Beal stands below 6'6". The current, more malleable group allows for more switching 1 to 5. Your All-Star statistics are not the only reason Beal received All-Star recognition this week for the second time in his career. The numbers did not hurt. Among all NBA players, only 2 in January averaged at least 27 points, 5.5 rebounds, 6.0 assists, and 1.8 steals. That dynamic duo is league MVP frontrunner James Harden and Bradley Beal. Beal also shot 39.1% on 8.2 three-point attempts per game. The wing guard did all that, even with opposing defenses shifting their primary focus his way with Wall sidelined. Going forward, perhaps the most interesting lineup scenario involves big versus small. Washington goes sleek, often with Jeff Green as a small ball 5, next to Otto Porter and Trevor Ariza, with Beal and Satoransky in the backcourt. This group gives Brooks plenty of shooters and defensive flexibility on the court, but lacks interior size. Just in terms of best all-around players, this is Brooks's best bet. In January, this group finished with a -10.2 net rating thanks to allowing 122 points per 100 possessions over 75 minutes. Yet the real shift occurred over the last 5 games. From Jan. 1 to 21, a span of 9 games, that lineup essentially finished with a flat net rating, 119.2 offense, 119.6 defense. Over the month's final 5 games, this group played together 4 times, 31 minutes, for a net rating of -24.6, 101.5 offense, 126.1 defense. The one game of the last 5 they did not play together occurred in the last game because of the toe injury suffered by Otto Porter against Indiana. That was also the game in which Brooks moved Porter back into the starting lineup after bringing the small forward off the bench since returning from a knee injury on Jan. 2. Porter struggled with his shot over the prior 4 games, 16-51 from the field. Conventional wisdom suggested the coach moved Porter back with the starters to jumpstart Porter's offense. That's the likely right consideration, though one perhaps put on hold because of the toe injury. Whenever he plays next, the spot in the starting lineup should remain. Washington used 6 lineups in the month of January, at least 15 minutes. The most effective unit include Porter instead of Jeff Green, with the other starters, 15.5 net rating in 56 minutes. The same group with Green over Porter finished -1.4 in 194 minutes. Fun fact, every player to appear in at least 2 games finished the month with a positive net rating. Among those to enter in at least 11 of the 14 games, the player with the highest net rating was rookie Troy Brown Jr. 10.8 More Wizards news. While his numbers do not stand out, in his 2.5 seasons with the Wizards, center Jason Smith was one of the most popular, well-liked guys in Washington's locker room. Smith signed a 3-year, close to $16 million deal with the Wizards in 2016. Smith was a solid contributor in his first season with Washington, when the Wizards were a game away from the Eastern Conference Finals. A dip in production caused him to slowly slip out of the rotation in 2017, and he only appeared in a dozen games with Washington in 2018. On deck. 7. He was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks in a 3-team, 5-player deal in which the Wizards acquired Sam Decker, before Smith's new team faces his old team in Washington on Saturday. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. on NBC Sports Washington and streaming on the MyTeams app. The center caught up with NBC Sports Washington's Chris Miller on the Wizards Talk podcast to discuss how his life has changed since becoming a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. Listen to the podcast with Jason Smith here after opening remarks about how he's dealing with the frigid temperatures that have spread across the Midwest. Smith told Miller about how he found out he was traded, and the hectic 24 to 48 hours that followed his sudden departure from Washington. That day was a whirlwind, Smith said about December 7th, the night he was traded. We flew into Cleveland and were about to have a team meeting. I had a little time to kill before the meeting. So I'm sitting there on the phone with my wife, and I get a call from my agent, and he tells me that I might be thrown in a trade. I didn't even know a trade was going on, so I checked the news immediately. I found out there was a trade going on between Cleveland and Milwaukee. They decided to throw me in there to make the money work, the business side work. That was like 10 minutes before it went public and things were official. That night, Smith decided to hop on the latest flight back to Washington to see his wife and kids one last time before departing for Milwaukee, not knowing the next chance he would get to see them now that his job suddenly changed locations halfway across the country. Well, Smith's supposed to be 9 p.m. flight got delayed 3 hours, and he did not end up back in Washington until 2:30 a.m. Smith's visit in the nation's capital was very brief, as he turned around just 4 hours later to go back to the airport where he'd fly to Chicago because there was no direct flight to Milwaukee. After arriving in Chicago, Smith made the hour-and-a-half drive to Milwaukee for his physical before having to board another airplane, as the Bucks were traveling to Toronto. Listen to the podcast with Jason Smith here. Although no longer a Wizard, Smith still keeps tabs on his old squad. I miss them dearly, Smith said on the Wizards. Smith was particularly thrilled that his former teammate Bradley Beal was selected to the All-Star game. I'm very congratulatory that Brad made his second All-Star appearance, Smith told Miller. While he may miss his old squad, Smith is enjoying the exceptional basketball his new team has been playing all season long. Now I'm on a team that's first in the East. We have the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, doing the Greek freak things he does, Smith said. You also have Chris Middleton as an all-star, and could have had another in Eric Bledsoe as a possible all-star. Despite such sudden change, Smith is taking it full in stride. "It's been a crazy change," Smith said, "but I've kind of just gone with it and went with the flow." More Wizards news.